Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cheerleaders, welcome to an episode of Tatami Talk. My name is Juan. This is my comic partner, Matt. It's Matt.
I'm not Matt. I'm leaving
I was
that
just thinking about Matt because Matt's home.
I'm leaving that in.
All right, take two. 100th episode. You think I'd get it by now? Actually,
I can't believe it. On our anniversary, you forgot my name.
I'm cheating on you. Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cheerleaders, welcome to episode of Tatami Talk. My name is Juan. This is my co partner, Anthony. This is a judo podcast for judo players by two judo players. So, Anthony, I just want to tell you one thing from the bottom part of my heart. The lowest part of my heart. Happy anniversary.
How low?
Oh, really low. Happy anniversary for our 100th episode, which is technically not our anniversary episode, but we made it to 100, so I'm just going to say this.
Wait, it's not our anniversary?
What?
It's not our anniversary. I couldn't hear what you just played, but I'll assume it's some air horn thing.
Oh, let me do it again. I'll do the air horn again and then try it again one more time.
Oh, it was air horn. Okay. Yeah, I knew it. All right.
So this is our 100th episode, which means this is our episode before our anniversary, technically. Because for our third anniversary episode, or our second anniversary, whatever. We're at 100 episodes. I ain't going through the math right now. Yeah. I ain't good at that shit. But we made it to 100 episodes. How do you feel, Anthony?
I honestly was leading up to it. I was really excited.
Yeah. Especially
because of the topic we're going to talk about today. But I've been so busy that I was just like, I stopped caring about it. Because I just came back from the Nanka tournament and I didn't stay the whole day. I was there for a meeting. So I just came back from that and then I have to go pick up my parents later to celebrate my dad's birthday. And I'm in the midst of finding I don't want to say new job, but a new project in my job. So I'm switching projects. So this kind of was like, oh God, we got to record again. Shit. Like, so I'm trying to squeeze this in before I have to leave in like a few hours. So yeah. Remember,
people, we do this for the love of the game. All right. We don't get paid for this. We ain't making no money. We were supposed to announce something today, but Anthony got scared, got some cold feet.
Yeah. Let's talk about that real quick. Right. So the last episode we talked about, Patreon's coming. Right. And then I started looking at the tax liability and I was like, I'm like, oh man, this is annoying. I'm like, okay, Juan, the Tatami Talk is either going to be your thing or I'm just not going to do the Patreon for now, at least. Cause I don't want to, because of my job, the way that my job works, I don't want to have to report it that I have income coming from somewhere else, basically. So, because it doesn't matter if it's like $5, like it's still income we have to report. So yeah, either that or we have to start an LLC, which means you have to pay a filing fee. And then I think in the state of California, you have to, pay a annual thing to maintain the LLC or something like that. Mm-hmm. I don't know. So maybe we should just like open a shell company out in the Bahamas or something. I don't know.
That sounds like a great idea.
The Tatami Talk Resorts Inc.
Tatami Talk Resorts Inc. Yes. If there's any lawyers out there that want to help us start an LLC.
Oh, we have plenty of lawyers at home, at our dojo.
At our dojo, there's already enough right there. I promoted one yesterday.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll talk about this in the future, but that's on hold.
I was all excited about that. I was like, we're going to do our videos on there first come, first serve. I'm going to start making more, pretty much all of my instructional videos I'm going to put on there and stuff, make them a little bit cleaner and better for you guys. We're going to put instructional videos once my arm gets better up there, talk about more things. A lot of stuff that's on the YouTube already, and that's on my Instagram already. That's pretty much free, but we're going to start charging you guys, put it all on there. But
here's another thing I want to ask before people skip this part and I forget at the end, because I know not everyone listens to the end, but I want to know for those who do use Patreon, like whether you like it or not, and how does it compare to other services like Ko-Fi? Because I was looking at Ko-Fi and I thought that could be a good alternative to Patreon. But just let me know. Just curious. But we'll have to figure out the tax things before we even do this kind of thing. So yeah.
But also my thing was like, I was hoping that we would get enough viewers on the YouTube channel that we could get those
membership.
Yeah, membership fees there.
We could do that too. Yeah, that's an option. But I think we need 1,000 subscriber or 5,000 subscribers.
And we ain't there yet.
We're not there.
We ain't there yet. We ain't even. Are we halfway there yet? I don't think we're halfway there yet.
Our viewer numbers have been decreasing, but our view count has been decreasing, but our audio podcast count has been increasing. So it's kind of misleading.
All right.
So I don't know. Yeah, usually I think making it shorter would make people listen, like, because our episodes have been shorter. I thought people would watch it more, but I guess people don't want to see our face. So
now you guys want to see our faces?
Yeah.
God, Anthony's
like,
a lovely
why do you
man.
close your eyes when we make love? Like,
oh God. You don't want to know why I turn you around. Oh, and for my ghetto cholo people out there, don't look at me, puppet. Don't look at me. Oh man, if you get that joke, we're dark humor.
Yeah, it just reminded me of how we want to do raffles at the holiday party, and like we lose money every year. And then Peter, our accountant, came by and was like, "Yeah, it's a good thing we lose money because we make money. We got to report it."
Yeah, people think that we make all this money. Like when we did the anniversary party, the 100-year anniversary party, people were like, "Man, this is a really good bento for like how much were we charging tickets? Like $10, $15." Yeah. And I was like, they were like, "This is amazing bento for like $15." I'm like, yeah,
this is where your membership money goes. Like
it was like, yeah, you're paying $10, $15. This bento is costing the dojo. It was like $23 or $25 each. So it's like, yeah,
dojo subsidizing it basically.
Yeah,
and it just reminded me of that the other day. Someone called about kids classes, and they're like, "How much is your kids class?" I'm like, "Oh, it's like $50 a month if you do auto pay." And he was like, "Aren't you guys part of the LA Parks and Recs program? I thought it was like free or something like that, or $5 or something." I'm like, "No, we're not part of that." And as far as I know, they only host classes like not every week. It's like once a week or something like that.
Yeah, it's once a week.
It's once a week, and then it's like they run it for a term, so it's not like the whole year. It's like 3 or 4 months at a time or something like that. Don't quote me on it, but basically it's not regular classes. And after I told him that, he was like, "You guys are too expensive," and they hung up. I'm like, that's the first time I've heard someone call us expensive ever. Like, in fact, most of the time I hear people saying we're not charging enough. So
for our facilities, what we have, what you can see behind me and we can see behind Anthony is our dojo is very decent size. We have a lot of equipment and stuff there. And if you guys are ever like, if any of our fans or anyone just comes across our podcast and is interested in coming to Hollywood Judo, go on our website, go on our Instagram, go on our Twitter, I guess, go on our Threads and Facebook and all that. Like, just go look at our stuff. The biggest thing to come to our dojo is that we at right now we have a $10 mat fee. All right. You want to come to class, visit, it's $10 mat fee. And usually most visitors, if you're just coming for one class visiting, it's free most of the time. Every Saturday, we have open mat randori for free at 2:00. All you need to do is have Federation membership. You can come and do randori for an hour. Now, everybody loves doing randori. Come for an hour, do randori for free. So if you're visiting the LA area, come visit us. And if you're just interested in trying out judo, we just added a new thing at our dojo. We're doing 5 classes, $10 each. So you just spend $50.
Yeah,
you get 5 classes.
I wouldn't say that it's new. It's just some people. I got tired of tracking people that show up once in a while. Yeah, so I'm like, how about you just give me $50 and then I'll like track every time you come to class instead of charging you $10 every time you come to class. So
yeah, so that's another like way that our dojo we do things. And that's actually we're going to get into this later in the episode and stuff. But come visit Hollywood Judo. Come on by, have a good time.
Yeah. So funny. So I just came back from a tournament, right? Someone actually recognized Scotty like a couple of weeks ago. He was like, "Hey, yeah, you were on the podcast." And Scotty's like, really? I was only on there for like one episode. Like,
they recognize Scotty, but they don't say hi to you and me.
Oh, they said hi to intimidating. Me too. But I didn't. I don't think I only ran to one of them who I knew, by the way. So, but. Yeah. All right. Anyway, let's go into the topic before the main topic we're talking about.
Well, let's go into just a little bit of judo news.
Important news. Yeah.
So again,
once again, it's American centered.
Yes, this is American judo news mostly. I talk about some international stuff too, but people don't like that as much for some reason. They like American drama apparently. So everybody knows in America we had a judo alliance between USA Judo, USJA, and USJF, and we're having a very public, ugly divorce right now. So,
really, I think it's past
divorce?
private. I think it's pretty private. It's more like I don't. Well, I guess you could call it ugly. I feel like they're already separated, and then now they're like posting Instagram pictures to say, "Look at my new hot wife," kind of thing.
Like my
like
new
trying to one up each other.
So one of the things is that USJA sent out a letter with their new president. What's the new president's name, Anthony?
David Brogan, something. Yeah.
All right. Sorry. So he sent a new letter talking about how, because of the separation and stuff, how things have to change, how we do stuff on our own now, and how USJA is planning to do stuff in the future. And this is one of the main topics to me that I think is the most interesting, is that a lot of people get confused about promotions. And USJA apparently, or what they're writing down here, I don't know if they're actually going to implement it or not, but this is my thing, is that they're going to get rid of points for promotions and more go based on time and grade, or mostly on time.
The context is Shodan, not even Shodan. I think it was Sankyu to Sandan, or is it EQ to Sandan, something like that. Yeah, it was.
So
let me just pull it up right now.
Right. And again, this is towards mostly black belts. I know some of you have citrus colors out there listening to our podcast, and whenever your sensei starts promoting you, they want to promote you. But this is more something towards black belts, because this is one thing that I don't get confused on, because for me, it's pretty easy to understand and read. But some black belts and some other people, when they're getting their black belts, find this very, very confusing about time and grade and points and what I get for competition, what I get for coaching, what I get for reffing. And
it's all Q ranks. So literally all Q ranks is just time and grade now. No points.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But there's also technique. There are technical requirements. So it's not just time and grade. Okay, I get my belt. Like, you have to demonstrate techniques. But
one of the things I thought was very interesting also is that when you get to the last 3 Qs, they're starting to make it or they're requesting it to be mandatory. They start learning Nagi no Kata. So
I like that.
You learn the first set, second set, third set, and then when you get your black belt, you got to learn the last 2 sets to the entire Nagi no Kata to get your black belt. Which
that is so much more acceptable, I think, and it kind of keeps it in. It's kind of like spaced repetition in a sense, right? It kind of keeps it in people's minds, right? They can't just be like, "I'm done. I don't want to do it ever again," kind of thing. You know, like. I like that.
I think it's good because a lot of people, you just get these people that, it's time for me to get my black belt. My sensei tells me, you're ready to get your black belt working Nagi no Kata. So they do a crash course on Nagi no Kata and stuff. And like we said, they do it one time and never do it again. At least this, you actually learn the kata, hopefully.
Yeah. The key thing that I think is a pro is that they're empowering the head coach to promote people. I'm sure the head sensei, the head instructor, whatever it is, to me, it's all the same, right? But the head instructor to do this. So you no longer have to go through the promotion board. I was just helping a friend fill out their point documentation, and I was like, yeah, you could have told me this earlier.
It was funny because you brought that up about going through US, and then I read this email and I was like, you want to know what? I always planned on getting my stuff through USA Judo, because that's where I got my second dan, my third dan is from USA Judo. So I have planned to get my fourth dan to USA Judo. But because my shoulder injury, I'm not going to be competing anytime soon. So I can't get those competition points like I need. So
that's the thing I'm thinking of. Like the key, that's the good part, right? But now the questions remain that we're gonna wait for the details to come out. Does that mean a Shodan can promote another Shodan, or does that mean because they're removing that other stuff? So I'm sure there's gonna be like Sandan can only promote up to Nidan or something.
Oh no, we're gonna have that crazy BJJ thing where that guy, remember the BJJ guy that he had immaculate something told him that he should promote his girlfriends to black belt so they can promote him to black belt. You didn't hear about that story?
I hear so many of those stories in the BJJ realm that I'm just like,
it's a crazy story.
Don't know what to believe anymore. But anyway, so that's one question, and this other question is, what is the time and grade going to be, right? So if under the previous system you got points for competitions and you got points for teaching and refereeing and all that kind of stuff, and you were ready for your like third dan or something, then under this new system, if they're like, okay, time and grade for third dan is 7 years or 8 years or something, and you're like, well, but like I only have 6, but with the points, I could have reduced it, but now the new system doesn't work. So how is that going to affect it, and how long is the transition going to be? Because like what happened, like for my friend that I filled it out for, what happens if they're like, okay, tomorrow we'll implement a new system, and he files his paperwork and they're like, well, sorry, you don't meet the timing grade under the new requirements. Then yeah, I don't know how they're going to retrofit that. I think the smart way to do that would be for all promotions starting from now. So if let's say you got your Sankyu before this happened, then from your Sankyu to Nikyu, then this new system will be in place. If you got your Shodan before this new system, then from Shodan to Nidan, this new it will still be the old system, right? So until you get your new rank, right? Until you get your new rank, once you get the new rank, it's going to be the new system. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because right now it's like a transition, right? So I think that would make a lot of sense, but they're going to have to specify it. Timing grade is important, and then the question is whether they're going to add in ways for timing grade reduction, because I feel like that's a huge incentive for a lot of referees and tournament hosters and people helping out at the dojo and stuff. Like those were a big reason for them to go to USJA is they offer a lot of points for those kind of volunteer work. But now you're like, we're just gonna, if you remove all that, then it's no different from USA Judo basically, which is in fact worse, because USA Judo allows competition points, right? But here they're like, no, just straight time and grade. So then why would I go with USJA if it's just I'm going to sit there unless the time is shorter, right? Because like I'm talking about purely incentives. Unless the time is shorter, I will just go with USA Judo. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I think it's very interesting how US, because their whole thing when they send an email about like making things easier to understand and things to go through, and people like you and me that are into this, like we have all these questions, but to someone else that doesn't know or already has, like I said, has a hard time with the points already, might be like, oh, this is a lot easier. It's just time and grade and makes it a lot simpler for me. Or
time and grade is 100 years.
Yeah, like I said, like I was telling you the other day, a lot of Taekwondo and Tang Soo Do and karate systems, it's not even about like point system. It's more time and grade and more about time. Like when you get your first degree black belt, you have to wait a year to qualify for your second degree black belt. When you get your second degree black belt, you want your third, you gotta wait 3 years. Or I know you have to wait 2 years to get your second degree, then 3 years for your third, and blah 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 blah. To where when you get your fifth degree black belt, if you even get to that high, you gotta wait 6 years. So you're not supposed to be having these young like McDojo third degree black belts at 22, or not even at that, at like 16. Sometimes just these kids where they get their black belt when they're 10 or something, Yeah,
ideally, I think this is good. Overall, is a good thing. But if it was up to me, I would just took the old point system and simplified it, because I was going through that points documentation, and that thing was like, I think you need to be a lawyer. Like, I'm exaggerating, right? But understanding that thing is just like crazy, and there's a lot of ambiguity involved because it's not written exactly the best.
Well, that's why to me it's always the competition points route is always the easiest route to calculate and get things done that way. Then to do the time and grade, it's like, man, time and grade's complicated. They don't want people don't get it.
They should have just kept it and simplified it, because instead of having like what I believe it was like 10 pages, whatever, of different kind of points you can get. I think they should have just simplified it. And then for example, refereeing, there's like local tournament, national, state. Like I think they should just be like either at the nationals or anything else, like two types, like huge tournaments and small tournaments. There's no like state tournament, like don't divide that up, make it 2, and then you don't get any points for writing books or anything like that.
I think you should get extra points for making podcasts.
Yeah, so
they should get to 100 episodes.
They should just limit it to that, and then for each category, right? For each category, you should limit the amount of points you can get. Like refereeing, you should only get maximum of like 10% or whatever, or 5% of whatever time and grade points you need. And then like volunteering, like running a table or assistant coaching or running a tournament will be up to like 5% or something. So it kind of incentivizes people to do multiple things if they want more points. Does that make sense? So I can't just be like, I'm going to only do refereeing and then get all the points and then go to all these different events and rack it up. And also a lot of them will overlap. When I filled it out for my friend, I kind of realized they overlap. So just make it so you can only get 5% of this. So you're going to referee to a certain amount and then you go write a book, or I said get rid of write a book, but then you do something else. So it kind of helps the other departments. But that's how I would do it. I was looking at Reddit and people's feedback on it. Overall, is good, but the concern that people had was like, oh, they're dumbing down the standards for.
I get that too.
Dan grades, because now your coach can just promote you whenever he feels like it, and I can see both sides of that, because I've seen people that deserve the grade but is getting. I'm trying to think of a more eloquent term. But getting blocked by bureaucracy, right? So there's I'm not going to say who. There's a guy at our dojo who has been competing since he was 5, and he's like a senior competing. He's a 60-something-year-old competing against 20-year-olds at national tournaments and beating one or two of them sometimes. Like, he deserves to get promoted to whatever rank was the next rank. But because of bureaucracy, he is being held back. So
because he didn't do the coaching aspect, it's he's getting blocked.
Let's not get into that. But basically, there's stuff like that where it happens, and obviously that's a high Dan rank we're talking about, which is a different story. But I've seen other occasions where it's like, it's just Shodan, it's just Nidan, like they deserve it, and they get blocked. And because it got blocked here, it screws them over for the later Dan ranks because of the timing grade, right? And so there's that. So the lower Dan ranks, I think it's fine. Whether it should be Sandan or not, I think it's up to interpretation. Because I think USJA Judo, for example, Shodan's pretty lenient, but then every Dan rank after that is pretty strict. I agree to that. Yeah. Especially like I said, the hoops that you and me both looked into my thing about getting my 4th, and it's not that hard, but there's a lot of stuff I need to do and that I've been on the track of doing, and this damn pandemic messed me up. Like I said, if it wasn't a pandemic, I would have had the points already. I would have had the competition points easily already. Yeah, I still can't help but feel like most of these promotion systems are screwing over people that are old and injured, basically.
We're talking about you, talking shit about me now, Anthony.
I think there needs to be a path for that. And then there's going to be like, just take the technical path. And it's like, well, what if I don't want to do kata? What if I don't want to do, I just want to teach and compete as once a year or something like that. But then like you can argue that the rank doesn't matter. So
hell, if I had to, now this is going to be cold-blooded right here. See what our international fans think about that. My shoulder's messed up. I really shouldn't be competing. Okay. But what if I entered one of the big tournaments just to get the going to a tournament points, get on the mat and really tap?
That's what I'm saying. It's farming points, right?
Yeah, it'd be like just farming points. It'd be very expensive farming low points.
I should get to your weight category, and then we'll just like throw for each other.
And we should do that, just sweep me real clean. Oh man, and then I get
on my shoulder.
Yeah.
On my knee. But you can't think of it like that because judo's dying in America, right? Let's just say it right now. Like judo's dying in America. And we can also agree, and most people agree, that the Shodan rank is kind of inflated anyway. I don't want to say inflated, actually. The standard is way too high, basically, compared to what it means in Japan, for example. Like they always say how it's a beginner rank. Like even when you hear some people, you'll see on Facebook when they say, oh, congratulations to blah, 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 got their Shodan. It's just the beginning, like, yeah, but like, that beginning took 10 years.
The real training starts now.
I could have got a freaking PhD in that time, So, so I just think this will help judo grow. And it's just, I always said how they need to lower the expectations for black belt because they put it up on such, Shodan specifically, they put it up on such a high pedestal when I think it should be fall more in line with what Japan and Korea has, basically, because to them, like black belt is just whatever, right? Like every kid has one almost. But here, people like look up to it and worship it in a sense that I don't think is healthy for the person and not for the sport in general. Might be an unpopular opinion, but that's what I think. Some people said they don't want the head coach to have all that power. Like I said, going back to what I said, and I'm like, what? My answer is, what is alternative, right? Mm-hmm. Like, back to the bureaucratic thing and like not having enough people get promoted.
It's gonna be the same thing as always. Like people are gonna be scared of like head coaches giving like their favorites black belts and stuff. But you want to know what? It's something I've told people before that like really big for the black belts. Like once you get that black belt, you have to defend that black belt.
Yeah, it's like
there are black belts.
The same thing as BJJ, right?
The
same thing as BJJ. Like going back to what we say, like people can immediately tell whether you know something or not by either fighting you or talking with you.
Yeah,
about judo. So they can look at you teach, they can look at you fight, or they can talk with you about judo, and you sound like you don't know anything, or if it looks like you don't know anything, then you immediately get exposed. So it's not a problem, I think, for judo because we're not karate or something where we're not pressure tested. So there's that. Let's not get too deep into it because it can be that'll be enough.
So that's it right there. That's just some latest American judo news with USJA sending out an email out. Read it if you haven't read it already. Hey, we can send it to you if you guys want to. Okay, if you're not part of USJA, USJA, I can't want to say USJF in my head. You know?
Yeah, I think in this podcast I don't make it a secret that I'm not a huge fan of USJA, but I do like the new cabinet. Is it board? The new board members. I think they're actually competent people. And I think I don't totally like all the changes that's happening, but I'm looking at the alternatives. I'm like, well, it makes sense. I would have probably done the same thing if I was in their shoes to stop the bleeding, per se, to lack of a better term. So, yeah.
All right. So let's move on now. Let's move forward. 100th episode. Let's talk about the main topic. So our main topic
is that Dave Roman is coming back.
I swear to God. How many did he got to 100, right?
I think he was like 2 or 3 episodes short, but it's actually in that thread about the USJ. He's going to be talking about the promotion thing. So I'm interested to hear his thoughts, but no, I'm just kidding. That's not the main topic, but he is coming back. So here's free advertisement for Dave Roman.
Help him out. Hey, he gets sponsorship money, man. He can buy food with his podcast. We can't buy nothing with ours.
He can buy a cheeseburger.
Yeah, he can buy food. We can't buy shit with ours, you know? We ain't got no sponsorships. I wish we did. But Anthony always says no to all of them all the time. Talks a lot of shit to people. All right. So our main topic that we're going to discuss today was just how we grew our dojo. We have people interested about like, I have some of your dojo's gotten bigger and stuff. So you guys have a lot of students. How did you guys grow your dojo? So
give some context. A lot of people were asking about this, and not about us in general, but online they were asking like, hey, my dojo's dying, like I want to start my judo dojo, how do I grow it, blah blah blah. And I don't want to turn this episode into something similar to Shintaro's one, because we're just going to specifically talk about our situation, right?
Yeah.
Our dojo, our location, our community, because being in LA is different from being in Kansas, right? So
really? Is it?
Yeah. So I think it's very different. And two, I know I said I would compare some of the points with Shintaro, but I haven't had time to re-listen to the episode, and I totally forgot what I disagreed with. So I'm just going to not talk about it. Yeah, so we're just going to talk purely about what we did in our situation, what we're in. So
let me give a brief history on Hollywood Judo first, okay? So I've been in Hollywood for 16 years. From when I first started at Hollywood to now, it is totally different. When I first started at Hollywood, it was twice a week and 1 hour or an hour and a half class. That's it. We went to 2 hours for a while, but now we're back to being an hour and a half again. But when I first started at Hollywood, it was very much a hobbyist judo club. When me and Matt first went there would be, if you were lucky on a good day, to be like 6 people. it would be like me and Matt, Sensei Bob, Philippe wasn't there. Sensei Bob, Sensei Lee, and Sensei Moss. And then it'd be Sensei Gary and Sensei Emmy that'd be like on the side coaching and talking and stuff. That'd be like, those are the normal 5 people. And you would interchange, it'd be like some different people would come and stuff. But on a good day, if we had a lot of players, it'd be like, oh, we had 6 people on the mat. We had 7 people on the mat. Oh my God, that was so many people today. It's so good. But it was very much a hobbyist judo dojo. They didn't have a set criteria by how to get your belt ranks. It was just like you trained until the sensei believes you're ready for your belt rank. And we were very traditional when we first started. It was white, brown, black. That's it. There were no citrus colors. There were no in-between colors. It was just white, brown, black, the traditional colors. And a lot of people a lot of people need motivation. I was fine with that. I was like, okay, my goal is brown. I'm going to do whatever I need to get to brown. If I have to be a white for 2 years or 3 years, whatever it takes, I'll get to there. During that time, we have people leave, join. And we were cheap back then. Like we were $30 a month. Okay. $30 for the month. And our mat fee was still $10. So $10 mat fee, $30 a month. You pay the community center. And at that time, unless you were a competition player, you'd have to join the federation because it was so small people. It was just like, oh, do you have insurance? Okay, that's fine. The things changed and things started growing and gotten better when Sensei Philippe came. So I was at Hollywood almost about 1.5 years probably when Philippe came in, saw our dojo, liked Sensei Emmy, liked Sensei Gary, liked Sensei Moss and stuff. And through him coming and kind of like taking over the way he is, and just like he's very energetic about his judo, makes other people energetic about judo. Started just becoming the head instructor, took over Sensei Lee. And from there, his energy built up the dojo. We went from being 2 days a week to 3 days a week. We went from being a 1 hour class to an 1.5 hour class to a 2 hour class. We started just getting more and more people inside. So that's how we went from being a very small casual judo dojo to when Philippe showed up to turn the place into an actual competition judo club that had players that wanted to compete and get better and helping us to grow and get better. And since then, we've added more days to now we're open 6 days a week now. We have a beginner's class, and it's for adults. We have an adult and teens beginner's class, adult and teens intermediate class, adult and teen advanced class, Saturday randori for free. We also have a children's program now, which when I first started at Hollywood, we didn't have a children's program. A long time ago, before I went there in the 90s and 80s, they had a children's program. They had a women's program, but because things died out and things changed, no one continued it. They left. It was until Sensei Moss and Sensei Eric's kids got old enough to do judo, they developed the children's program. And now even with the kids program, we have a kids beginners class. We have a kids intermediate class because when you get advanced, it should be with teens by then. So they should be in the adults class by then. We even have a kids class now. So our dojo has grown so much in the past 16 years. And a lot of it is due to Sensei Philippe. A lot of it is, like, I don't want to toot my own horn, but for me doing a lot of social media, a lot of it's due to Anthony for pushing us and helping get us stuff on some more things online and creating classes and programs and having us, as we develop as black belts, become teachers and instructors to do this. Because it can't just be one person doing all this. Okay. So Anthony, where do you want to start off at with our modern?
Well, you've been here for 16 years, right? So you knew, and I've seen pictures, old pictures hung up at our dojo where the classes are so small. The mats were shit.
So our original mat, that's like one of the, I think one thing that built us up a lot too. Let me talk about the mat, baby. Let me talk about the mat time. Our old mat was okay. So it was those blue tumbling mats that you see like in every middle school, every elementary school, every high school, the tumbling. So I had blue tumbling mats with these big ass thick pieces of foam on top of it. Okay. So there's blue mats, foam on top, and then this giant gray tarp that was on top. That was very taut, so it was tight on there. Okay. When it was first built, supposedly it was amazing. People used to love to come train with us because our mats are so soft. The thing is that because you don't maintain it, you don't take off the tarp, you don't readjust stuff moves. So if we get like little holes in the mat, we're like, oh yeah, don't step there, your foot would get stuck, or don't don't get thrown there because there's pretty much no mat on that. That's pretty much just, you're going directly onto the blue tumbling mat on our concrete floor. So when we got rid of that and we brought in we got what brand were they? Whatever. We got Fuji.
Fuji.
I don't know if our last one were Fuji too. I know
the last ones. I don't know about the last ones.
Yeah, our last ones we got. The current ones we have our Fuji mats, Fuji competition 2-inch mats. Our old mats, I think, were 1.5 inch. I can't remember what brand they were. But what we did when we bought those mats to get nice ones, we also built our subfloor, which is plywood sandwiched with foam bricks underneath it to be shock absorbers, which is great. Our mats are amazing. Most dojos you train at, it's just tatami mats on the floor. Sometimes some places will do that old school thing where they'll build where for their shock absorbers, they'll have tires and stuff. We looked into that, but it wasn't going to work out. But most places just put their mats on the floor and that's to get thrown.
What's his name? Matsush. Whatever that. There's a guy in Japan who's building his dojo that used tires. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've had people that do gymnastics from their dojo like, oh my God, this is almost like a tumbling mat right here. It has a spring to it. It's not super soft. Like when you hit hard, but it's compared to being thrown 10,000 times on tatami mats on concrete compared to being thrown on our mats with 2-inch thick mats with the subfloor, the shock absorbers. It's amazing.
I won't lie. That was the thing that convinced me to choose Hollywood Judo when I first came to LA was because of the floors. Because I started off with the 1 2/4 zebra mats.
Yeah.
At Kokoro Judo. They have a Dolomer foam stuff now, which is nice. But I started with those mats and they were on the community center wooden floors, and man, that sucked. And I remember it was Charles that bombed me first time I was training there, and I was like bracing for impact, and I was like, oh, it doesn't hurt that much. Yeah, these are nice floors. And then
our subfloor is great as a shock absorber.
And then not having to put the mats away. Lay down, put the mats away before and after practice was nice too.
And that's another thing that people like about our dojo, that we have our own dojo area. We don't put away the mats. We don't bring them back out. I've had other people visit and be like, oh, do we have to put these away, or is karate or something else coming later? It's like, no, this is our space. We don't rent this out to nobody. This is a judo area. Another thing that you can see, kind of like if you look at Anthony's picture, you see a little gray black thing in the back there. We have a very thick crash pad. A lot of dojos have crash pads. They have like thinner ones and stuff. But we have a very huge one where if you want to work on your power throws, just slamming people down and landing on them, it is amazing to be thrown on that.
I hate that crash pad though. It's too high.
It gives you a lot of support.
I want to get those. I want to get those Japanese crash pads, the one I've been sending you, that are flatter, so you can do stuff on them and not like lose balance. It's better for kids too, I think. But
but we have a great crash pad and stuff. So if you want to work on a hard power throws, that was a great thing. So we just keep adding little stuff throughout the time. Like we built our cage area. We got weight machines. We have the Chikomi machine, the elliptical, the rowing. We kept bringing in little stuff with what little money we have to try to grow and build our dojo and make it more desirable for people to come. There's one thing I always tell people when they join our dojo, you're not just here to learn judo. Like, yes, the main thing is learn judo here. But you can also, if you get hurt in something, I want you to still come. Use the Uchikomi machine. Use the elliptical. Come lift weights. Use the rings. Use the bar. You can use the gym area. Come in early. We don't usually stay after class as long as we used to anymore. But come early and work out. Okay. Or if you're hurt and you can't work out, still come. You can do other stuff here. We even have the throwing dummies now. It's a great thing for when we have an off number, or if someone doesn't feel like, I really don't feel that well. Like, throw the throwing dummies. We have we have 2 great throwing dummies and 1 kind of weird one.
Named Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, yes. We have Emmanuel.
Yeah. So when I came, it was 2018, I think. I think it was 2018. The dojo didn't have that many people, but something about it felt like home. I don't know how to explain it. I think it was the Sensei Gary, who rest in peace, recently passed. Sensei Gary welcomed me, and then Sensei Philippe said hi to me, but he didn't really know who I was. So it's just like you said, unless you show up often enough, they can't remember you, which is okay. I'm sorry, but you guys, you didn't have that many people coming along at the time. Versus now, okay. I'm running the beginners class, and I'm like. How do you guys remember all the I was pretty good about what we were at like 70 members at one point. I can remember everyone, but now we're like 130. I'm just like, who is that guy again? Now I have to actually enforce taking photos for attendance for our system, because I literally can't remember everyone. Then you start having people having the same names,
Yeah.
It's like that. It's just getting too overwhelming. So the fact that you guys can't remember people's names just because it's their first day walking in, when it rarely happens, it's just really, there's no excuse.
Well, to me, it was the joke that I'm not going to waste space in my brain remembering someone's name if they're just going to quit. So I used to just joke that I don't remember no one's name until they get a brown belt. Okay. Because then it shows me that you're actually here to stay. Because there's been a lot of times I waste time like learning people's name, background, all stuff. And they last a month and then they quit. And we're like, well, that was a waste of time. I know that sounds horrible, but that's just how I was back then.
Okay. So let's move on. Right. So, this is when I first started helping out more at the dojo. I started helping the kids class when I was small. And then, I know Sensei Gary was getting older, and then, some people were getting married. And Sensei Mas was moving to Japan. So we had less and less help. So I decided to help out at the dojo. Plus I was interested in just being at the dojo more, because I just moved here. There's nothing else for me to do here. I'm not a partier or that kind of thing. So I spend most of my time at the dojo. And then it was when COVID, right after COVID happened, was when we had a rush of, when we started reopening, we had a rush of people signing up, like new people. And I was like, man, we are using paper records and physically signing people up, which takes time, by the way, in the dojo. And only a few people know how the process works. And we're storing all these people's personal information in the office. So if someone breaks in, they can just walk away with people's personal information. And we had no idea who has paid or who hasn't paid. We would very often be like, hey, make sure you ask so-and-so to pay because it's been like 6 months, right? So it's not an automated procedure, and because we're not getting paid to do it, it's like whenever we have time, we'd go through and see who has paid and who hasn't paid. And then, so I decided to, because I'm a software engineer, I decided to move, or at least at the first hard part was convincing the board at Hollywood Judo to move everything to electronic registration, member management, payments, everything automated. So that way it would alleviate the pressure off of people, and that frees them up into doing more important stuff, such as for me, it would be like coming up with a curriculum for the beginners. For you, it would be like social media stuff, right? So instead of spending time doing all this stuff that is wasting our time, we could do that. But at that point, when I migrated, after we convinced everyone and we started migrating stuff to electronic, that's when I knew we only had around 30 members at the time. All right. And that was when did we reopen? 2021, I think. Right?
Yeah, let's say that. No, it was around 2021 because we started doing the in-houses later that year. So yeah.
Yeah. So 2021, we had around 30 people. And then as of 2023, beginning of 2023, we had 100. And then now it's 2024, we're close to 130. So, which that in itself is not, I mean, it's a good metric, right? But I always look at turnover rate, because we can, but we only have so much control about who walks in, but we have a lot of control about who stays.
No, we don't.
You do.
Only
I didn't say total control. All right. I said you have a lot of control. And if you wanted to, seriously, if you wanted to, you can make everyone stay. You would just have to change the way you teach, which would compromise the dojos. It will obviously compromise whether you're teaching them legit stuff, right? Because if you turn your dojo into a dojo, then obviously a lot of people will stay. But so you do have a control. It's just you have to modify the way you teach. So I realized what's more important is the turnover rate, like how many people are actually leaving. And I obviously don't have the numbers from when I first joined, right? But just by because I remember faces, I told you. I think we were just like a typical martial arts dojo. 90% of people drop out after the first month or two, right? So 90% of people drop out after the first couple of months. And when we started the beginners program, that lowered to around 70%, I think. And then now when we as of today, I think we're hovering around somewhere around 55% dropout rate, which is still like, so basically around half people quit. And that sounds like a lot, but if you actually know and you run a martial arts gym, then you know that's actually really good.
Yeah.
So that's how I measure our success. And I don't want to take any credit at all for you for because people are like, oh, look at your beginners class. It's so big. It's so successful. You're doing a great job. And I'm like, hey, I'm not the one getting them through the door. Like, tell me again when they make it to intermediate classes. Well, I told them, like, when the intermediate class gets big, that's when you can thank me for it. Because I think that's saying, one, I got them to stay, right? And I got them to a certain level. But having a big beginners class just means whoever is advertising, you mainly, and also Philippe, is doing a great job. So I need to clarify that. So, obviously I try to post on Reddit, even though I try. I only post on the judo subreddit. I don't engage in online discussions anywhere else because I wasn't posting that much in the beginning. And then every time I lurk in the judo subreddit, everyone's like, I want to move to Los Angeles. Where should I go train? It's always Sawtell or Tenry.
Tenry. Yeah.
Those are the two. Even for me, when I moved to LA, the two places that got recommended to me was Sawtell and Tenry. The only reason I decided to go to Hollywood was because my wife, my girlfriend at the time, picked the department and Hollywood was the closest. That's the only reason. I still went to Sawtell and Tenry, by the way, but to check it out. But nobody's heard of Hollywood. And so I decided I'm just gonna make an account just for posting Hollywood related, like, so people know that account is from Hollywood, and then hopefully I would like make the dojo kind of known online just a little bit. That's also a reason for the podcast, just so we can put ourselves on the map. And I don't want to be one of those places that are like, we're the best dojo, come train, blah blah blah, like look at all this amazing technique we have and that kind of stuff. Because I feel like that's something you have to, especially for beginners or untrained people, they don't know what they're looking at. Like, yeah. Right. So what is the point? What is the point of that? Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's better to cater to recreational people and be like, this is why judo is awesome. And you don't have to train with us. You just train anywhere. Every dojo has their own separate culture. Just go train somewhere. Like the other day, my friend recommended someone who's moving down here to talk to me about where to go train. And they were considering going to us for Tenry. And I'm like, just go to San Gabriel Judo. It's right there. And they have all these girls, like your girls, like we don't have that many girls at our dojo. Tenry doesn't have that many girls. Why don't you go train at San Gabriel Judo? There's tons of girls there. So now she trains there and she loves it. So like, I'm happy that she didn't, versus getting her to come to our dojo, train for a few months, and like, why is it all guys? I don't like it here. And I'm driving like pretty far to get here, and then they quit. They didn't even know San Gabriel Judo existed, apparently, because they didn't have a Yelp page or something. I don't know. But I had to tell them about that. So this is like, I think it'll come back around, you know, because now I have a connection, indirect connection to someone at San Gabriel Judo, right? Even though Sensei Philippe knows Richie Endo, but it all comes back around. We basically want to help judo grow, and we don't want to like hoard students like what BJJ clubs kind of do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if you look at the BJJ club's scheme of things, this is important to how I'm approaching to marketing the dojo, right? So you look at the way that do things is they just want you get you through the door, right? That's why they don't post the prices online. Get you through the door, convince you to just sign a contract commitment. Now I remember, this is the part I disagree with Shintaro. One of the parts, contract, right? Get you to sign a contract, and then force you to adapt to their way of teaching judo, which is, I guess, you could say, it's a pro or con. Like people who don't want to change the way that they teach, because they're like, okay, we're gonna do this level, like let's say competition level, and we're not gonna cater to beginners. If you can't keep up, it's your fault. but they're not going to survive that way if they're for profit. So now they have to trick people in with these contracts. I'm using the word trick, but it's not in a bad sense, but they have to get these people to do the contract so they give it a fair shot. That way they spent the time teaching them and they have they took your money already, basically. Right. And if you quit, it's like, okay, it's fine. It's not for you, but I already got your money. Right. So that's the BJJ way of doing things. But for us, it's like, we don't want you here unless you're into judo, which is like the total opposite. Right.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, with us being a nonprofit, we're part of a community center. We have a great facility, but we're not paying like super high rent, is that we can stick to teaching traditional judo. Our thing isn't about bottom line. Our thing is about making people have fun, learn judo, give a great experience for people. We're not about the bottom line. Oh, we have to have a profit margin. We have to hit a profit margin. And even with us, the way we did stuff, like how we raise our rates and stuff. So let me go back to talking about our prices, Now, I told you when I first started Hollywood Judo, it was $30 a month. Right now, we're at $50 auto pay, $60 month to month, cash check, whatever, if you want to do month to month. Now, the way we got to that we raise rates little by little. But one thing we noticed that, like, it's hard to keeping track of people, like their, so before we were all cash and checks. And thank God we didn't get a lot of bounce checks back in the day. I can just imagine we did, but doing things cash was like we have to chase people down. So we decided, well, let's get one of those card readers and let's create a card account that we can just scan people's cards. We all like,
Square,
well, I don't
use Square. Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of like, oh, I got to get cash, got to get change, all stuff. So can I just scan your card? Like, oh yeah, great. So we got that at first to make things easier, which the people were like, oh, okay, I can just scan my card. I don't have to have cash on me. Can you be surprised how many younger people nowadays, and some older people too,
I don't carry cash.
Don't carry cash with them. Yeah. I carry like maybe $20 on me just in case, but yeah, I tap my card most of the time. So that was one thing that opened us for more people. It's like, okay, they take card there to scan it. And then we were like, okay, well, let's do an incentive. Like, instead of chase people down every month to get their payments, if there's someone that doesn't pay on time, let's create the auto pay system. It's like, okay, so how are we going to get people to be an incentive to do the auto pay instead of month to month? Well, this new auto pay is $10 cheaper than month to month. Okay, well, how do we get people to stay? And how we were trying to figure out, like, what do we do? Most companies, most contracts make you sign a contract of like, oh, you're 3 months to get used to it. And when I was in film school during the advertising productions, the advertising part, they were like, you have to have people do something for a certain amount of time to make it become a hobby, a habit. Yeah. So our idea was, okay, well, if you sign up for 3 months of you have to sign up for 3 months first of auto pay. So that way you're forced to come to judo for 3 months. I paid for 3 months. I might as well come those 3 months. Okay, even though we get some people that didn't. Some people would pay for 3 months, come two times and be like, all right, I'm done, but I paid whatever, I don't care. That opened us more to people. People were like, oh, cool, you guys have to auto pay. You guys it's $50 cheaper. That's really cool. Oh, I can sign up for 3 months easily, no problem. So that was just nothing to get people in the door to get to stick with judo. You got to make yourself more open to people and make things easier. That's the whole thing. A lot of things nowadays, like if we still did the paper system and cash and checks only, who knows who would have these 130 members? Probably wouldn't.
Yeah, it's all these little things added up. Like, you definitely want to ease the barrier of entry, right? Into anything, especially since most of the people that walk through the door are recreational people. We already know that, but most of them just want to get the same thing Shintaro said, right? They just want to get a workout in, like learn some self-defense. You know what I think about self-defense. Learn some learn some martial arts, and they're not that serious. So they're already scared of showing up. And now you're adding all these hurdles. Like for a lot of these people, just making a phone call is hard, like calling or sending an email. So now you got to be like, oh, you got to sign this form. Like, you might die, as it says on the form, right? And then like, you got to sign up for USJA Judo. You have to sign up for the community center. Now you have to have these options of like this or that or that. It's just too many choices. So, I think it made sense to do the contract again when you only have one. Like, back then, we only had one class for everyone, because it's like, yeah, it's gonna suck, but if you stay long enough, you might like it. But because we have a beginners class anymore, I don't think that's needed. The beginners class eases people into this, and it goes back to what I said, right? If you want it, I'm modifying the way we teach to make it more welcoming to more recreational people, but we got stuck at that 55% dropout rate that I was talking about earlier. And I was like, oh, I think I can actually lower this. But then I thought, do I actually want to? Like, because if I make it any further adjustments, then they're going to get an unrealistic view of what judo is. Like think of like kata only dojos. Like you know what I'm talking about, right?
That was my wasn't that my my pitch when we did our holiday episode?
Yeah. So think about that, like very recreational, right? Like you show up, do some uchikomis, do some nagekomis, work on some kata, and then don't even do randori and you go home, right?
I'm not even sure if that would work because that's kind of like how the dojo was when I first joined. When I first joined, like we would.
And then how many people did you have back then, right? Like
we had like 6 people, you know?
Yeah. So
it was like very recreational. And then like, okay, now we're doing randori. And it would be killer randori. Just getting beat up by black belts.
You have to understand how many people we have came in and they're like, what do I need to get a black belt kind of thing, right? They just want to show up. They expected to do some like compliant drilling, let's just say call it, and then like get promoted. And then know the name, memorize the name and techniques, and then they get promoted. So if we cater to those people, then the dojo will no longer be like, it will sacrifice the integrity of the dojo, like the judo that we teach, basically. Not that as a problem, that's the kind of judo you want to teach, but I don't think Hollywood's that kind of place. Like we want to be, we're still teaching a sport, but we're teaching a sport that's useful for self-defense. And, it has to be real judo. Like, so I think in the beginner's class, I was like, okay, I'll ease you into it, but I'm going to give you glimpses of what real judo is, and it sucks. Like no one's going to, if you take a bad fall, no one's going to be like, oh, like that'll never happen again. It's because you did this. It's like, no, in reality, bad falls are going to happen no matter how good you are. Like sometimes someone's going to drop you, just like Will dropped me the other day, right? Sometimes it's going to happen versus like you baby them too much and then they go to the other classes and then something happens and they're like, well, Sensei Anthony said, if you do this is wrong because it's dangerous. I'm like, yeah, but there's risks involved in the martial art and sport.
Yeah.
So you have to give them like a dose of reality, but that translates to, you're going to lose some people. So,
let's talk about let's talk about classes. Cause again, now I'm going through, like I'm the historian right here. So in the old days, I always say, have the saying, only the strong survive judo, because in the old days we had one class. When I first started at Hollywood, it was one class for men, women, teens, children, everyone. If you wanted to join Hollywood Judo, it was twice a week. I think it was Tuesday and Friday. Or I think it was something weird, like it was Tuesday, Friday class, and it was one class for everybody. And then we started getting more classes. So it was like multiple days. So they became Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But again, it was still one class, men, women, teens, children. It wasn't until Sensei Eric and Sensei Moss had kids that we decided to make a straight kids class. But it was, again, adults were all adults, kids were all kids, and it was all ranks. There wasn't a beginner's class, an advanced class, an intermediate class. There was nothing. And it wasn't until the pandemic happened, like this is all the way up to the pandemic. It was one class for the adults, one class for kids. It wasn't until after the pandemic happened, we decided, you want to know what? Let's do an experiment to try to bring people into judo, because I always did that saying, only the strong survive judo. And we get these people that think they're tough guys, I think they're badass, to come to one of our classes, come to one of Philippe's classes, and they're throwing up in the bathroom. Oh, where's so-and-so? Throwing up in the bathroom already. We had like
4 people throw up last week. I don't know what it was. Like, it hasn't happened in a long time.
Well, no, but back in the day when we had one class, we would always get that, like to be those tough guys, the people that think that they've done stuff. Oh, I'm a stunt person. I've done stunts before. Okay, then here's a throw. Oh my God, is that what being thrown's like? Oh, it was like, I threw you on a crash pad. Dude, calm down. So it was after pandemic, we started adding these classes. We added a beginner's class, just divided in half. We could do beginner's class. Anything under pretty much green belt and stuff, you're in the beginner's class. Anything above green belt, you can go to the advanced class. And then our kids. Okay, let's make a kids. When did we start the kids beginners class? Was that after the pandemic, right after, or was it?
That was when the kids class grew too big. Yeah. And some of the smaller kids can't do the same thing that the older kids were doing. So we decided to separate it by skill, though I kind of think we should separate by age. That's the thing that I think. Yeah. But we're not going to get into that. So.
But we're not going to get into that. But this is what we're doing, you know? So our kids class getting a little too big. Let's divide that up. So we're going to do a kids beginners class and a kids intermediate class. So then we have 2 kids classes, which is supposed to feed into the advanced class that adds more room, gives us more, again, give you more options, makes us more desirable to come to. And then with our adult class, okay, so now we have the beginners class and we have the advanced class. Okay, and we have Saturday rondories. So we have like 3 types of people right there. You beginners class people, advanced class people, and then Saturday crazy ass rondory people that just want to come and fight,
Yeah.
So we have 3 really good options right there as an adult or teen. And then we just recently added, well, not recently, it's been a while now. Like, okay, well, let's try to bridge the gap because there's been a big gap between the beginners people to the advanced people. So let's bridge that gap. Let's make it intermediate class. So we're making ourselves even more desirable to people because like, okay, I can do my beginners class, go to intermediate class, which isn't as intense as advanced class, learn the techniques, still do judo and have a good time. And we have advanced class and crazy rondori Saturdays. So now we have 4 options for our teens and adults, making ourselves just more desirable. That's the thing. Like we're adding classes to make ourselves more desirable and make ourselves more open to other people to come. Because not everybody's a crazy, I want to be a national competitor. I want to win a championship. I want to do this, do that, advanced person. Some people just want to do judo for the fun of it. And you have to understand that. And that's where these beginners and intermediate classes are there for.
So some people say, like, I've heard some people say, like, oh, judo is not for everyone, right? Yeah. Like they, yes, I agree with that statement, but they said it with the intention of saying the classes are hard for a reason, like because of conditioning and stuff. So it might not be for you, but I think some people are just not ready for that off the bat, right? You have to like build it up, and especially you can't just have a dojo that brings in that's only for ex-wrestlers, ex-judokas, people who already did dance or some sort of physical activity. There's potential in people who have been sedentary once they got married or something, and they want to get back into a sport, or someone coming back from injury. You have to like cater to those people too. So judo could be for those people too. You just have to, again, modify the way you teach to build them up to the level where judo is for them, because they're interested in it, but they just can't go from 0 to 50, right? On the first class. So that's the main thing I want to say for that really worked for us is figuring out a way to bridge that gap and build up these people. Because right now, I'm not going to say who, because I know some of them listen to this. I was just telling Scotty and Matt this. I'm like, there are few people, you know who I'm talking about. There's few people in the beginners class where we're like, some people said they're going to quit. And I'm like, I also think they're going to quit. But if what I'm doing is scientifically sound, they shouldn't quit. They should make it to the advanced class. So if they make it to the advanced class, for me, it's like, okay, what I'm doing works, is evidence for me. So if someone that I believe is going to quit is going to stay, then I think that's a pretty good sign. Because even though I see this guy, I'm like, he's probably not going to last, doesn't mean I'm going to half-ass teach them. Like, because I could be wrong, and I'm wrong fairly often. So I could be wrong. So it's also, even if I'm wrong, you want to at least, you can't think of, oh, that guy quit, he's wasted time. That guy served as an uke for someone else in the class for that time. So they did bring value to the dojo in the end. It might not be the value you're looking for, but they did provide some sort of value, which is like whether it's cultural, the atmosphere, just like networking, like they did bring some sort of value to the dojo. So that kind of we talked about the beginner's class, definitely going digital, making it easier to sign up. I made it online, revamped our website, made it more navigatable, more up to date. That's another thing that helps. So retention, definitely track your metrics. This is a suggestion, like track your metrics, and it's easy to just look at it and let your biases take over and be like, oh yeah, like we developed so-and-so who's competitive, but it's like, okay, so you have this one guy that's good. How many people dropped out? Like one out of 100? Like,
we don't look there.
So you want to look at how many people are training and how many get to the level that you're thinking of, and how many people stay. So always look at like metrics so you can kind of not lie to yourself and see how well you're doing. So if less people are walking through the door, then obviously maybe you need to advertise more. Like what we did was we stopped doing Facebook ads because we looked at the metrics and it was like Because I implemented an electronic sign up, we asked them where do they hear us from, and the number one thing is networking. Like someone referred them, someone liked our beginners class and referred them. So that's number one. Number two is Google Maps. That's the second thing. No one from Yelp. I think we had like one Yelp ever, and then no one from Facebook. So why are we spending ads on money on Facebook, right? You redirect the money onto Instagram or Google ads. So,
and that's another thing about with like me doing social media stuff. That I saw that we get zero interaction with Twitter. So that's why I don't do a lot of stuff on Twitter. Mm-hmm. We get very little interaction on a Threads. That's why I don't post a lot of stuff I post like the minimum on Threads and stuff. I pretty much abandoned our Twitter. Pretty much it's there just in case I need to use it, but it's pretty much abandoned. But our Facebook, we still get a little bit of people in there and stuff, but it's not as much as we used to. But the biggest thing right now that I've seen is Instagram. We get the most interaction from Instagram stuff. So that's why I post ads there. The other thing that I've seen a lot of people look at us at and post, and I've tried to kind of fix and maintain, and since I've taken more seriously that, is Google. Posting more pictures of the dojo there, posting things that we're doing, so people have looks on there. Because before I wasn't like, oh, well, it's kind of like it's a direct thing. If you go to Google, you go to our thing, look at our website, it's pretty easy. But I didn't realize how many people were looking at the photos on there, looking at videos, looking at reviews on the Google. So that's why I started posting more pictures there of like, look how big our class is. Look, we have these kids. Look, we have these ladies. Look, we have competition stuff. Just trying to maintain that interaction with people out there looking for you. Because a lot of people are going to go online first. Okay. They're not saying old school people just walk to your dojo and come watch your class. Most people they look online. If they like what you have, that's what they want to do. And that's where it comes in, maintaining your social media interaction,
presence,
your presence and stuff.
Yeah, this is what same thing I agree with Shintaro, right? So post more online, right?
Yeah,
doesn't have to be like don't go posting shit you don't know about, right? Like I'm not gonna be like, if you want to be the best in the world, this is what this is how you should train, because I have no experience training high level judo. It's totally out of my lane, right? I should have I only have like local competition experience, so I'm only going to talk up to that. I'm not going to start telling you how to train for the Olympics. That's just like totally not something I should make a video about. Or I'm terrible at, let's say I'm terrible at, let's just say Uchimata. I'm terrible at it, right? So I shouldn't be making an Uchimata video, right? So do something that you're pretty okay at, and you don't have to be great at it, because again, beginners, untrained people have no idea what the hell they're looking at. I see a lot of videos out there of people showing stuff that looks absolutely terrible, and people are like praising it. I'm just like,
there's a lot of that out there.
I was like, okay,
there's a lot of it,
but it gets some views, and and that's not the important, which is okay. The important part is not that. It's not that you get a lot of views, or I guess kind of it is, but it's not. That's not the main point. Not a lot of views. Not that you're showing good technique. Not that you're helping people. Not that the stuff is good for their judo, because you see people doing stupid drills and games for clicks all the time.
You're one to talk about games.
I'm talking about some like weird crap, like standing on a Bosu ball while holding like doing squats with a barbell or something like that. But you see weird stuff like that. But what I'm talking about is you want to make sure the videos you post kind of give you a good idea of what it's like to train there. You know, like the culture, how warm the people are there, what kind of people show up. But you don't want to lie either. Like you don't want to wait until there's like 100 people in class for that one day, and then you make a video and someone shows up and there's like 5 people there, you know? So you don't want to do that either, but you want to like make videos of like real consistent videos, like every week or every month. So people are like, oh, every class is kind of has this vibe. Like it's okay. Some days there's less people in the videos, but people are having fun while training. They're like smiling while training, which is something I want to call out. Fresno's Judo. If you follow their social media, they have it on point, which is probably why they have so many students. One, because they have a huge facility, but they have their social media game on point. They are like the perfect example, in my opinion, of what it shows like what kind of training environment. I have never been there, but I can like imagine what it's like to train there, and I want to visit there because I've just been looking at it. Looking at someone doing freaking Uchimata and how beautiful it is just tells me nothing about what it's like training there. Like, right? So, yeah, that's all I have to say about the training culture there. And video, obviously, video gives a better idea to people compared to just static pictures of what the training environment's like.
One of the last things, well, there's actually one other thing I want to talk about, but this is my second last thing I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Is that another way that I keep talking about what we did and how we did stuff is, like I said, you have to build a community. People want to come join a martial art because they want to join a community. And we get so many people not so many, but we get some people like, oh, do you guys do things outside the dojo and stuff? Like, we actually do. We used to, when we were actually a more smaller, tight-knit judo club, when there was only 30 of us, we would go out, watch the UFC fights together. We'd go to like bowling together. We would go eat together and stuff. We would celebrate birthdays and stuff. Now we're a bigger community and stuff. We're trying to do more things.
We're trying to bring that back on Sundays. We're trying to bring that back on Sundays.
Yeah, well, things that we're going to try to do more things in the dojo. Like, but one thing we always do, we have the yearly holiday party. We always try to throw a nice holiday party. We have fun where we eat, talk. I have a raffle to make it more fun. We did a pub quiz this year to make it more interesting. I think people had a lot of fun this year trying to bring it back. The other thing is that we have a summer picnic. Outside the dojo, people come, music. We barbecue, people talk, get to meet each other more, know more people. Something that we do. We've tried other programs. Also, we tried doing an Olympic watch party.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. We tried that, and I realized nobody gives a shit about Olympics. So, like
we tried an Olympic watch party and stuff.
Yeah, that was not. So we should have tried. Basically, we're not going to do it again.
No, we might do it again. You don't know.
But it'll have to be paired up with something else, like board game. So it can be something in the background, but it can't be like, let's sit there and watch the Olympics. Like, nobody wants to do that. So
we've been trying some things. Another thing that we're going to add to our program is that we're adding a kata class. Okay, it's not going to be an every week kata class, but we're offering a kata class twice a month. And this is one thing that we talked about in the last episode and some other episodes about, like, places don't have kata, they have to go to a clinic or they have to find another dojo to train at. So in our area of Los Angeles, we're going to offer a kata class with a certified kata instructor, national champion, twice a month. There's something that bring people in. Again, it's like, hey, maybe I might join Hollywood because it's free to do kata there. I can train judo and learn my kata, which is open to anybody. Our kata classes, and it costs $15
you have to pay,
outside.
For outsiders, you have to pay. Yeah.
For outsiders, $15, but for our Hollywood Judo members, it's free. There's something to just grow and make people want to come and train there. And if you come to our kata class and you're like, oh, I want to try it out, do the $15. Hey, these mats are really nice. Hey, this fighting area, this area is really cool right here. It's great parking. That's another thing. We have a parking lot. That's one thing in Los Angeles that's premium is a parking lot. So we have these things that we're adding programs to make sure that we have the judo family, judo community and stuff. You're not just coming there to train and leave. The last thing that I want to say that I think has helped us out because it makes us look good. It's a little thing that some people look at, some people understand, some people don't understand, is Sensei Philippe being promoted to 6th Dan. Having him with the coral belt on the mat showing stuff really adds some gravity and some weight to our dojo.
Again, to most people who don't know what they're looking at, like, they would look at the belt, basically.
Yeah. They were like, what's that? I understand black. What's that? What's that thing? Yeah. What's that candy cane? What's that on him right there? Oh, that's a coral belt. That's 6th Dan right there. 6th Dan. Oh, he must be really good then. Yes, he is.
Yeah. So, you brought it up, but I have to emphasize this. Like, we have to get Hollywood Judo. Like, we did a lot of stuff, clearly, right? But it would not be where it is without Sensei Philippe.
Yes.
Like, mainly because of how charismatic he is. I know I don't know if he's going to listen to this deep, but he usually says we talk too long to listen. But it kind of, sometimes I'm like,
well, we tell him that his part's at the end and he'll listen to all of it.
I'm like, how is he so popular? Like that guy, that one popular guy in school you want to punch? Like, that's Sensei Philippe. Like,
he's a cult of personality.
I'm the guy in the cafeteria sitting in the corner with my glasses and reading my book. Philippe's like,
and I'm the guy over there picking fights with people. And
Philippe's very personable and he's just great instructor and person. So without that, then you're gonna have to That's what worked for us. We all, everything we did all worked because of Philippe being there. So we planned around that, right? It's just kind of like, so if you have, it's not, I'm not saying if you're not interpersonal, if you're not sensitive to Philippe, then you can't succeed. It's just that you might have to take a different path or adjust things differently and market your dojo differently, because every dojo is different. So this is just what we did. And also we were lucky that for whatever reason we can't get any kids through the door, but we have a lot of adults coming through and a lot of people that love judo, that love the dojo, volunteer to help. Like Peter's helping out with our accounting, so we don't have to pay an accountant to do it. I'm helping out with the tech stuff. Matt's a director, so he's like helping out with that's the other thing. Philippe started the Hollywood Judo channel, so YouTube channel. So he's doing videos there, and he's helping him record that kind of stuff. Like it's just anyone, because a lot of dojo owners like to have a firm control of everything, and they won't delegate tasks to people. But because Philippe was like, this guy is good at this thing, I should let him handle this because he'll do it better than I can, then that really helped the dojo grow. And if you can't and you're for profit, then you got to pay someone to do it. So that's we're really lucky in that sense. We're really, really lucky that we have the right people to come through. And it goes back to what I said about growing the program, right? If you just only have one type of people, like you make your training program only cater to one type of person, then only those people will stay. You might not have these volunteers that you have, right? Versus if you have this judo program that is open to all types of people, then you're going to have all these people coming through with different point of view, different skill sets, and they're going to stay around to help. With that said, I think the next step for growing our judo, because I think our judo club we're going to start offering a free trial, right? That's one thing we're doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there's a free trial that we're going to start offering that.
There's a lot of logistics behind that. I didn't know it was such a pain in the ass to do that, but it was, Jonah made it sound so easy, but it's because he's for profit. So let's just, I don't want to get into the weeds of it, but basically there's a lot of pain in the butt stuff.
Yeah. Remember people, we're a nonprofit, right? We do this for the love of the game. Our podcast for the love of the game, our dojos for the love of the game.
Yeah. So I realized there's a lot of places that offered me free trials in the past that are nonprofit. They shouldn't have done that, basically. So this is what, anyway, so we're starting to offer a free trial that will get a lot more people through the door, right? So that will be good. We're raising our prices again soon. That will put us more in line with our competition, and the money it brings in will help us get like learner gis and sponsor some students that are unable to pay, and all the programs we were talking about earlier, right? Like we've been adding more classes. We might invite people over to do clinics with that money. So there's all these possibilities. Without, you don't need money, but with money you have more possibilities to do it, right?
Yeah. We might offer, we're trying to figure out how to do a women's class, a women's only class, since that's a popular thing out there also.
Yeah. I'm trying to get, I think my goal is to stop having people coming through the door telling me that they don't know what judo is, but they're signing up because it's the cheapest. Like that's like the goal, right?
I tried BJJ, but it was really expensive, and I heard judo is very similar.
Yeah, but if it was up to me, like obviously there's a lot of things restricting this from happening, right? But I think the next step to grow in the dojo would be to have a kids program divided by age, for one, like the young kids and then older kids. And then a foundations fundamental. I would just call it that, but it's technically just a recreational class, right? So we'd have a recreational class, an all levels class, and a competitors class. And competitors class would just be basically what the advanced class is right now, basically. But that's what I would do, because right now the way we do things, we have like all these classes, and it's good, but people are separated. Like the people from beginners class don't know the people from advanced class. They've never met each other. They don't see them. There's no culture. There's no interaction. There's no that family bonding time kind of thing we were talking about. So that would that's one thing that's preventing the people from staying is they don't feel like they're connected to the dojo unless they stay long enough, right? But if you are able to bring that in earlier in the process, then that would increase the retention rate. That's one. That's the side effect of having multiple classes and having over 100 members is that it gets segmented like that.
Yeah.
Number two is to get the parents more involved. Like that's one weak point of our dojo is our parents are not involved at all in most of the activities. Other dojos, they have like some sort of like PTA committee kind of thing where they help run like fundraisers and go volunteer at tournaments. Like I said hi to a parent at Nanka tournament, like because their kid was competing and they decided to volunteer at the tournament selling hot dogs. And we don't have that at our dojo. So we got that's something we have to do. And and also back to the having people intersect kind of thing. Some black belts keep showing up because they like sharing their knowledge. Like if someone's really good at Tomoe Nage, they like it when someone comes up to them and asks them, how do I do Tomoe Nage? You have it so good. Like when you remove the beginners from the equation as all black belts in the class or all black and brown belts, then that kind of, they're just like, oh, I'm showing up to just train now. I'm not here to share my knowledge or interact with people. So that's stuff that I personally think would help the dojo grow. So.
All right. And these are all things that we've done and suggestions, and this might work for you. I hope it works for most of you. It worked for us. And we're always open to talk to people about like what we've done and why we do our certain things. Yeah. So remember, like always, please like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me at @GRA_Juan. You follow Anthony at Anthony Throws. You can follow us at Tatami Talk on YouTube. You follow us at Tatami Talk on the Instagram. You can also follow us at Tatami Talk on Threads. I got a few likes on there, so Threads, I guess, is still alive. And as always, you have to follow us. You can send us emails, questions, things you want to talk about at tatamitalk@gmail.com. Anthony, is there anything else I'm forgetting about?
Yeah, I mean, we talked a lot about growing dojo, and I just realized we didn't talk about our reflection for how the classes have been since we were open, because that was one of the things we want to talk about. We can talk about it in the next episode. It's fine. Yeah, and then also I'm going to try and get a special guest on. So there's a lot in the works, and all of that interesting stuff was going to be gated behind Patreon, but I guess not for now.
Not anymore now.
We'll see. We might save it for then. Yeah, that special guest was. Yeah, we'll just leave it for now. I don't want to make promises before it happens.
Secret. You have to stay tuned and find out, everybody.
All right.
And with that, don't forget to
have a happy 3rd anniversary for our podcast. But wait, those hoodies you have aren't for sale, right? Remember?
No, these hoodies are. I've made some hoodies. I'm not selling them. I'm just giving them to friends and families, people I want to give them to. Okay, if you guys want to see.
I think it's really cringe, by the way.
Why? But, it's awesome.
I think it's cringe. I haven't worn mine. You gave it to me, and I saw Philippe wearing it around the tournament today, and I was just like, "Oh God, I'm so embarrassed." It's like your dad. Imagine your dad's like walking around with a big picture of your face on the shirt, or like my son is like on the honor roll society kind of thing. Like yeah, that's what I felt like. But yeah, don't forget
now you have to bring us to the dojo. We take photos of these now.
Yeah,
you must wear it.
All right, don't forget to slap the mat. Yeah, that's it. All right, bye.